The Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, 1945. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki represent some of the most significant and devastating events in modern human history. These catastrophic attacks not only ended World War II, but also ushered in the nuclear age, leaving a profound legacy of destruction, endurance, and global reflection. Understanding these events provides valuable insights into the historical, scientific, and ethical dimensions of war, making them an essential topic for students exploring the turbulent 20th century. To fully grasp the significance of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, it's important to consider the broader context of World War II and Japan's role in it. By mid-1945, the world was teetering on the brink of prolonged suffering, and drastic decisions loomed on the horizon. By 1945, Japan had suffered significant losses in its military campaigns, facing immense pressure from relentless Allied forces. Despite these setbacks, Japan's leaders showed no willingness to surrender. Allied strategies to invade Japan forecasted millions of casualties, raising concerns about the human and economic toll of a prolonged war. This deadlock prompted the search for alternative measures to bring a swift conclusion to the conflict. A pivotal turning point was the Manhattan Project, a top-secret initiative led by the United States to develop atomic weapons. Over several years, scientists made groundbreaking strides in nuclear research, culminating in the successful test of an atomic bomb in July 1945. With this achievement, the possibility of ending the war quickly, through unprecedented means, seemed within reach. On July 26, 1945, Allied leaders issued the Potsdam Declaration, an ultimatum demanding Japan's unconditional surrender. The warning was grave. Failure to comply would result in prompt and utter destruction. However, Japan refused to yield. This rejection of the ultimatum set the stage for one of the most consequential actions in military history. The morning of August 6, 1945, forever etched Hiroshima's name into global consciousness. This city, largely spared from the war's conventional bombings, was deliberately chosen to showcase the stark and terrifying power of atomic weaponry. Hiroshima was strategically selected for its military and industrial significance, as well as its dense population center. Its relative preservation from earlier air raids made it an ideal location to demonstrate the bomb's destructive capacity fully. The choice was also political, aimed at signaling the unprecedented power of the United States to both Japan and the broader global community. At 8:15 a.m., the B-29 bomber Enola Gay released the uranium-based bomb Little Boy. The bomb detonated at an altitude of 1,900 feet above the city, generating an explosion equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT. In mere moments, Hiroshima was engulfed in devastation. The fireball unleashed temperatures exceeding 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit, instantly vaporizing everything within 1 mile of the blast's epicenter. Roughly 80,000 people were killed instantly, while tens of thousands more succumbed to injuries and radiation over the following days. Entire neighborhoods were flattened, leaving survivors amidst collapsing structures and out-of-control fires. The long-term effects of radiation exposure included an increase in cancers, genetic mutations, and chronic illnesses, ripple effects still being studied today. Hiroshima became the first grim experiment in nuclear warfare, forever changing how humanity understood conflict. Just 3 days after Hiroshima, the catastrophic power of atomic bombs was brought to bear on Nagasaki, reinforcing the message that the United States was prepared to continue its nuclear onslaught unless Japan surrendered. Nagasaki was initially a secondary target. The primary target for the second bombing was Kokura, but weather and cloud coverage forced the mission to divert. Nagasaki, an important industrial hub that helped sustain Japan's war machine, became the alternate target. At 11:02 a.m., the B-29 bomber Boxcar dropped the plutonium-based bomb, Fat Man. The bomb detonated with a force equivalent to 21,000 tons of TNT, making it even more powerful than Little Boy. Due to Nagasaki's hilly terrain, however, the full destructive radius was somewhat reduced, sparing some outlying areas. In Nagasaki, approximately 40,000 people were killed instantly. By the end of 1945, that number had risen to an estimated 70,000 as injuries and radiation poisoning took their toll. Citywide devastation unfolded as entire districts were obliterated. Survivors faced unimaginable suffering, and much like in Hiroshima, the long-term health and psychological effects would haunt the population for decades. These devastating attacks, combined with broader geopolitical pressures, ultimately brought a close to World War II. Japan faced insurmountable destruction and a rapidly deteriorating position on all fronts. The atomic bombings alone imposed a previously unseen scale of destruction, but they were not the only factor in Japan's decision. On August 9, 1945, the Soviet Union invaded Japanese-held Manchuria, opening another theater of war. Left with no viable path forward, Japan's leaders conceded defeat. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito addressed his nation in an unprecedented radio broadcast, surrendering unconditionally. The formal end of World War II came on September 2, 1945, when Japan signed the Instrument of Surrender aboard the USS Missouri. This historic moment marked not only the conclusion of the most devastating conflict in human history, but also the beginning of significant shifts in global power dynamics. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki have had a far-reaching impact, influencing the political, ethical, and cultural landscape of the modern world. The immediate casualties of the bombings were harrowing, but their aftermath was equally devastating. Radiation sickness claimed countless lives in the months and years following the attacks. Survivors, known as hibakusha, endured lifelong struggles, facing physical ailments and psychological trauma. Despite their resilience, many faced societal stigma and discrimination in post-war Japan, adding another layer of suffering to their already profound challenges. Hiroshima and Nagasaki symbolize the beginning of the nuclear age, highlighting both the promise and peril of advanced technologies. The use of atomic bombs sparked an arms race during the Cold War, as nations scrambled to develop even more powerful weapons. While nuclear energy eventually found peaceful applications, such as in medicine and electricity generation, the specter of nuclear warfare continues to haunt global affairs. These cities are now synonymous with the pursuit of nuclear disarmament and peace. Sites like the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park and the Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Museum attract millions of visitors, offering sobering reminders of the consequences of war. Educational efforts shed light on the scientific advances that enabled such destruction, while advocating for humanity's collective responsibility to prevent it from happening again. Today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain enduring reminders of humanity's capacity for both destruction and resilience. The bombings prompted international discussions on warfare ethics, diplomacy, and the importance of arms control. These events implore students to think critically about the balance between technological progress and moral responsibility. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were unparalleled in their magnitude and consequences, forever altering both the ending of World War II and the trajectory of global history. While the decision to use atomic weapons remains a subject of intense debate, these events undeniably highlight the devastating costs of war. They demand that we, as a global society, reflect on the responsibilities that come with power and innovation. For students, understanding this chapter of history provides valuable lessons on the complexities of decision-making, the ethics of warfare, and the urgent need for cooperation to shape a peaceful world. Let the legacy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki serve as a call to action for the next generation to seek solutions that ensure such devastation never happens again.